With almost 500 sessions at Next 2018, it's understandable that you couldn't get to them all. So if you didn't see, where should I run my code? Serverless, containers, VMs, and more? Then stay tuned, because here's the rewind. Want to run your app in the cloud, but need some pointers on understanding the different options for running code on Google Cloud Platform? Let's dive in. Here are 4 ways to package and run your application: virtual machines, containers, platform as a service, and serverless functions. I'll briefly talk about each of these and explain what each approach looks like on Google Cloud Platform. First, let's talk about virtual machines, which is compute engine on GCP. Virtual machines simulate the real-world physical servers you can see in data centers. And just like physical servers, you can choose things like what size of disk do you want, how much memory your machine needs, and what type of processor. The difference is you don't have to order physical parts. You create a machine with the click of a button or an API call. And even though it can require more management, Compute Engine can be a good fit if you are already running on virtual machines or physical servers, or if you need specific hardware like GPUs or TPUs. Next, we have containers, which are a way to package your application into images that are lighter weight than a virtual machine, which means they can start up faster. They are also repeatable and portable, which means I can run it on my laptop, and it will run the same way in production in one cloud, or the staging environment in another. Kubernetes is the de facto way to orchestrate and manage your containers. Here's an example of what it does. Let's say you have 4 services running in containers, and 3 of the services talk to a 4th service, service B. If service B goes down or crashes, Kubernetes will notice that the health check has failed and will either restart your container or move it to another node and redirect traffic so the other services don't experience an interruption. This helps make sure your application is stable and robust. Next, we have App Engine, which is Google Cloud's platform as a service. App Engine is designed for web backends. Think APIs or web applications. There are 2 flavors: App Engine Standard, which is designed to deploy directly from source code and scales up and down very quickly, including down to 0 running instances. It has the constraint that you can't necessarily bring your own binary modules, however. App Engine Flex can run just about any container, so you can bring your own language and environment. It doesn't scale quite as quickly as standard and doesn't scale down to 0, which means if you have a low traffic service, you might be paying some minimum cost even when your service is idle. Finally, we have Cloud Functions, which are intended for smaller, short-lived individual functions. They're serverless, which means the infrastructure is almost completely abstracted away from you, and you only pay when your code is actually running. They're event-driven, so they're triggered when events happen in the cloud, such as an HTTP request, a file uploaded to cloud storage, or a new record is inserted into the Firestore database. There's a lot to digest, so if you're worried about making the wrong decision, a good option can be to use containers. Get your application into a container format, and then you can actually move it between layers. Maybe start with containers running on App Engine, since you can just give your container directly to App Engine and it'll scale it for you and expose it over HTTP automatically. Then if you have more complex needs or have several containers that need to be orchestrated, move to Google Kubernetes Engine. And finally, if you have specialized hardware or networking rules, you can always create a virtual machine for your container to run on. Here's the TLDR. Cloud functions are small, single-purpose functions driven by events. App Engine is designed primarily for web backends. Kubernetes takes your containerized applications and scales and coordinates them. Apps that need specialized hardware or existing apps on physical or virtual machines are a good fit for Compute Engine. If you'd like to see the full talk, check out the link in the description below, and don't forget to subscribe to the Cloud YouTube channel for more great Next Rewind content. Thanks for watching.